I'm MC Hammer. I love startups. I've been engaging startups for 15 years here in Silicon Valley. I've seen some great companies, as I always say, and I've seen some companies that didn't get out the gate. I've seen some companies that ended up becoming YouTube, the companies that became Twitter, so forth and so on. Every company has a story to tell. We take something positive from the winners, and we'll call them failures, but all of them, they add something to the ongoing narrative and the culture. And with that being said, tell us all about Troop ID. Give us the overview.
Thanks. Thanks, Hammer. Thanks for the time. So, the name of the company is, as we just launched yesterday, is ID.me, ID.me. Our first product was Troop ID. And the problem that we were trying to solve is one that, is prevalent since the beginning of the internet. It's trust. People and individuals don't have ways to prove things about themselves that are true while they're online, and organizations don't have a trusted intermediary to know that they're dealing with a legitimate customer who is who he or she claims to be. I was an Army Ranger, so the pain point that I was most passionate about when we first started was helping service members and veterans access benefits online. And what we did is we basically created a digital ID card that a service member or veteran can use across a network of sites to verify that they are, in fact, a service member or veteran. And the best analogy is maybe like a digital PayPal for digital identity,
Right.
where once you verify your status, you can then use that single sign-on to verify your military service. And now we've expanded to cover students and first responders as well
So
as of yesterday.
so let me stop you for 1 second. So
Yeah.
although you know Troop ID is the introduction that I had to the company,
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
in actuality, what this is in total, stopping fraud and all of the challenges that we have on the internet with around the fraud issue, right? And this is about
Yeah.
truthful identity, as your original product was. This is
Yep.
about being able to make sure that the person you're dealing with truly is the person that they say they are.
Exactly. So, the strategy that we took, and hopefully not to draw any analogies prematurely, but just like Facebook started with students, even though Friendster and MySpace were out there, they started with students because that was where the need was the greatest,
Right.
and they built up scale, and then they expanded mass market. We really felt the need was greatest for the military community because you've got all this goodwill towards veterans, and they don't have a way to kind of verify who they are online. So we started with the military, but now as we go mass market, we're going to face a few challenges. The first of which is consumers are going to have to trust us with their identity, and we've got pretty aggressive privacy policies, but that put them in charge of their own information. But that's certainly a huge challenge for us as we scale.
So before we get into that, Blake, let's talk about exactly
Yeah,
because again, I salute you, both of us being former
thanks.
military and veterans. Thank you for your service. Um, but we have an issue with benefits, health,
Yep.
and all these things. Tell me exactly the benefits of identity, proving your identity, and how it's going to be helpful to our military brothers and sisters. Because again, the line to just get your benefits, your VA benefits, it,
Yep.
it goes from California all the way back
Yeah.
to New York, right? And sometimes there's a 3 year and a
Yeah.
4 year
Yeah.
wait. So tell us how
Yeah.
your product can be very helpful with that process and cutting down that time.
Yeah, so there are two components to our business strategy. The first is distribution, and then the second is sort of leveling up the in quality of the account so that you can do some really kind of heavy duty use cases online, like remotely accessing your medical records, or if you're trying to access a claim, that you can do that securely, and that the government has the they've got standards for identity proofing and everything else, and that we meet those standards, that they can release really sensitive information to that veteran digitally.
Are you having any?
So the distribution.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Are
good.
you having any resistance from the military side? So what do they think about your product and partnering with you to help solve this problem?
Yeah, so we're leading a few working groups with some of the federal agencies. We've got a pilot already in place with Veterans Affairs,
Okay.
where the VA is giving away $2,000 memberships to an organization called Tech Shop that helps veterans get training with, if you're familiar with the MakerBot movement and the Maker movement, if you have an idea and you want to build a prototype, the VA will fund that. But the vendor had an issue in that they didn't want to take the DD 214, which is the form that veterans have to identify themselves,
Right.
because it's got their social security number, it's got their blood type, and
Right.
the vendor's like, I don't want that information. All I want to know is, are they really a veteran, and is the VA going to reimburse me? So the VA adopted us as a technology that has, the bank grade security to verify that they're in fact a veteran. But when we disclose that they're a veteran to Tech Shop, we only say, yes or no, Blake Hall or, Hammer is in fact a veteran, and the VA is going to reimburse you.
Absolutely. I happen to be a friend of the General Colin Powell, and
Great.
I'm going to definitely run it by his son Michael, my good friend and brother, about
Okay.
what you're doing here. Because again, the more advocates, some of the challenge, most of our challenges and pain points are being able to access the right people to create awareness, right? That a product like this
Yep.
exists that solves such a huge problem. And so we need as many
Yep.
advocates as we can, because the military's plight, the struggles
Yep.
of the veterans is near and dear to my heart. So I certainly want to do as much as we can to make people aware that you have this incredible identity product that can be very helpful.
Yeah, thanks very much, Hammer. And in fact, a lot of the investors who back the company were veterans themselves. Red McCombs, who's a Texas billionaire,
Right.
served in the Army from 46 to 47. Paige Craig, who's a Marine out in Los Angeles. Mark McLaughlin is a West Point grad. So we've been very lucky to have a number of advocates, and thank you for helping us spread the word.
Absolutely. So, what is your most pressing pain point right now? What's the biggest challenge that you have?
So effectively, like, our challenge as a business is to create network effects. So our distribution strategy is based on the retailer side, where we want to get our single sign-on adopted in as many checkout flows and sign-up flows for merchants that offer these programs, so that we get users adopting us by making the web our distribution platform. The benefit for the retailer is that instead of having to verify 100% of all the students or 100% of all the veterans that come to their site, they are now sharing that verification across a network.
Now,
So,
now, who are your
if
competitors?
if
Competitors in that space. Who are your competitors and you can finish that thought. But who are your
yeah,
competitors in the identity space? And are some of your competitors potential partners? And I say that by
yeah, it's a good.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. So there are some sites. There's a site called GovX that is like a channel that just tries to serve military and government customers. There are, of course, huge players in the identity space, the credit card bureaus, Axiom. Where we think that we are different and will in fact partner with almost all of those organizations, is that we are a user controlled credential that doesn't have a core business that's competitive. For instance, like, the banks and the telecoms have really heavy duty single sign-ons, but other telecoms aren't going to adopt another telecom single sign-on. A bank's not going to adopt another bank. But we, as a neutral third party, can partner with all the banks. We can partner with the telecoms and create, a trusted credential. So that's sort of the white space that we see in the market, that users don't have control of their identity.
What about the credit bureaus? Same as banking.
Yeah, same. We've already got a partner. One of the credit bureaus has partnered with us, and we're developing a pretty deep relationship with them to help us verify, customer claims.
Okay, good. I'll discuss with you offline another
Yep.
potential that I just met with yesterday. So right
Okay.
right in this space. So tell me, you raised about what, a million? You raised about $1 million. What was your raise around?
We've actually raised a little bit over $5 million.
Oh, okay, okay. And how big is the company? How many employees?
21 employees, 11 in product and engineering, 7 in marketing ops and biz dev, and then 3 answering phones and helping you know folks who aren't as technologically savvy get verified.
And you're based where?
We're based in McLean, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C.
Oh, so you're right. Yeah, you're right in the DC area there. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
so
yeah.
marketing, awareness, strategic partnerships, banking, credit bureaus.
Yep,
Um, uh, I mean, again, I can see where you're going to scale pretty quickly because obviously you have a huge market. There's just a huge marketplace,
yep.
and
Thanks.
so what's the low hanging fruit over the next 3 months? Low hanging.
Yeah, so low hanging is continue to do what we've already validated. We've got Under Armour, Overstock, Tough Mudder, Veterans Affairs, U-Ship, WWE, 511 Tactical. They're already customers. We need to add additional brands to that network so that we become the kind of de facto digital ID card. The more brands that use us, the more valuable we are to military and veterans.
Right.
Once we do that, we have to lay the framework for the security that we need to and the accreditation we need to allow veterans to remotely access medical records and things of that nature. So that's what we want to accomplish over the next 12 months is to be at that point where we can enable those use cases.
Right. So a couple of action items for you and I. So we'll talk about how to create more awareness. Maybe connect with some people like quote unquote in my circle, right? Maybe get put it on the general Powell's radar. You mentioned the
Yeah,
WWE. Why don't we
yeah,
talk about the UFC? I have
yeah.
50 fighters in the MMA space. In the UFC. I consider myself a friend of Dana White's, and I deal with
Great.
UFC on a regular basis. And so I think that would be another good. You're already doing a WWE, so it's obviously the space is established and it's good for that.
Yeah.
And then we want to talk about an additional bureau, one of the additional bureaus that's huge and aggressive and looking to partner with startups
Uh-huh.
technology. And then some other things we'll talk about offline. But I think you're well funded. Uh,
Thanks.
I can tell in speaking with you that your thoughts are clear. You know where you're going. You have a game plan, a roadmap. I'm sure you could probably show me about a 5-year roadmap and just hearing you,
Yep.
your thoughts. And so I'm thoroughly pleased. And, you were one of the companies that I selected to mentor. And I think we're going to have some fun through this process. I think you're going to do well.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Hammer, and thank you for your service. I really appreciate your mentorship and look forward to continuing the
All
conversation.
right, Blake, take care.